The magic always lies in the unknown. This is one of my favourite quotes, and I think sometimes as we're pursuing our ideal acting career, we can forget that the magic is in what lies in the unknown. Too many times we can set goals and then a couple of months down the line, we've just completely forgotten about them, or we're beating ourselves up because they haven't happened or materialised quick enough and we think that we're not good enough. But in today's podcast episode, I'm going to teach you a completely different way to set and achieve your big acting goals for 2022. It's more like a workshop than a podcast, so I encourage you to grab a notepad, a pen. You are going to be taking reams and reams of notes. Get yourself in a really comfortable place, get yourself in a relaxing space, and be ready to get inspired, because 2022 is your year. You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. With me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid, working, unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready? Today's podcast episode is sponsored by Total Character Immersion, Standby's brand new online acting course that's loaded up with 5 nuclear strength method acting modules to take you from wondering what the hell you're going to do to connect to the character to living through each role with ease. For more information on Total Character Immersion, check out the link in the description. I am so excited for today's podcast/workshop. It's going to be a little bit longer than normal, but goal setting is one of my favourite things to do. I really love dreaming up what it is that I want to achieve. And the things that I'm going to be setting out with you today and sharing with you are things that I've done myself for my own acting career. And I really hope you find this podcast/workshop super duper inspiring. My aim is to get you really focused, really focused, and to not do what most people do, which is a couple of months into the year, just take their foot off the gas and completely give up on their acting goals. I want you to stay focused on them, but remember that the magic lies in the unknown. The way that we're going to be setting our goals for 2022 is going to leave room for flexibility, so we don't have to be so rigid with a plan and unflexible with other things that might crop up or that might inspire us and take us down a different route but still get us to the same place. So have you got your pen ready? Have you got a notebook? Have you got a drink? Are you in a nice relaxing place? If you're not, press pause, go and get all those things done first. And if you have got all those things ready and in place, let's go. Now, before we even get into 2022, we've got to start this podcast/workshop by reviewing 2021. What goals did you set in 2021? Did you even set any? Because if you didn't and you're not happy with where you are right now, that could be a big clue as to why you're not happy. You see, goals allow us to stay focused. They give us a destination. They allow us to keep taking consistent action because we've got something to focus on. So what goals did you set in 2021? And if you didn't set any and you're feeling a little bit crappy or unhappy, don't worry, don't beat yourself up. This is all a learning curve. Life is one big experiment. It's just one big experiment, so take the pressure off yourself. You can go into 2022 way more focused than ever before if you didn't set any goals for 2021. If you did set some goals for 2021, how close or far away did you get to them? If you were 1,000,000 miles away from them, ask yourself why. Why was I 1,000,000 miles away from them? What happened? What mindset did I have that made me be 1,000,000 miles away from them? Because even in the face of adversity, which all of us are going to experience, life is always going to happen. Obstacles are always going to be thrown in our path. It's all about mindset. Just a quick flick of the needle, like just a quick shift of the needle even, can still keep us going through adversity. So did you experience adversity? Did you get a lot of external obstacles crop up that got in your way and that really messed around with your mindset? What did you do differently if you did get close to your goals? What did you do and what mindset did you have that allowed you to get close to your goals? we don't always achieve all of our goals. This is one thing I want to let you know, is that it doesn't matter if you didn't fully achieve them. The fact that you set a goal and you were taking consistent action to get towards it is better than just, throwing anything at the wall and trying anything and living life erratically. Because if we don't set goals, then we do live a life of chaos and erraticness, and we don't really want that, especially when it comes to an acting career, when we already know there are many, many, many things that are challenging as we pursue our acting dreams, and there are many obstacles that get thrown in our path that we are not in control of. So if you did set goals and you got quite close to them but not fully achieving them, it doesn't matter. You set them in the first place and you were focused, and that's the main thing. But if you did get close to them, what was it? Was it a mindset? Was it a thought process in how you were approaching these goals that, just stopped you from getting even closer to them? Where did you get in your own way? I think this is really important to reflect upon, because most of the time when we're not achieving goals or we're not getting as close as we could to them, it's because simply we are getting in our own way. So where did you get in your own way? And how can you get rid of that for 2022? I think the first thing is just becoming aware of it. Once you're aware of the things that you were doing that weren't helpful and were more of a hindrance, then you'll be aware of them. You'll have more self-awareness around them for 2022. This review is really good because it allows us to see what's worked so we can do more of that. And it also allows us to see what blocked us, what stood in our way, so we can do less of that. And every single year we want to be growing. We always want to be growing, even if we don't always necessarily hit our goals. And then there's a couple of other questions I want to ask you before we even get into setting our goals for 2022. In 2021, what did you say no to that you should have said yes to? I found this question just mind-blowing. When I sat down and I answered this, I was like, oh my God. But, hindsight is a wonderful thing because we can learn from it. We don't beat ourselves up going, oh, but you should have said yes, but you didn't. You said, no, God, you're such a bad person. You're not good enough. We don't give ourselves a hard time. We just go, I said no to this thing and really I should have said yes to it. What actually made me say no to it in the first place? Oh my God, yeah, it was that. It was fear, or it was worry, or it was because I thought I didn't have enough of this, or I wasn't enough for that. When you figure it out, you're going to do less of it in 2022. And on the opposite side of the coin, what did you say yes to that you should have said no to upon reflection? And remember, we're thinking specifically about your acting goals. And acting goals can encompass your craft, your performance skills. It can also encompass the business of acting, marketing yourself, selling yourself, getting to auditions. So what did you say yes to that you should have said no to upon reflection? Again, when I sat down and I asked myself the same question, I found it so bloody powerful. I was like, oh my God. If I'd have said no, then I would have created space for these other things. But I don't beat myself up because we're just learning from it. If we continuously beat ourselves up, we just give ourselves a real hard time. And then before we know it, we start to lack motivation and we're not taking action on our goals anyway. So let's just recap. Our review for 2021 is: what goals did you set? How close or far away did you get to them, and why? What did you do? What didn't you do? What mindset did you have? Where did you get in your own way? What did you say no to that you should have said yes to? What did you say yes to that you should have said no to upon reflection? There's a lot of questions here for you, so you might want to pause and take out a journal and start journaling on these. And journaling just simply means I get into the flow of free writing. I don't think, I don't get into analysis paralysis. I don't try and find the right answer because there is no right answer. I just allow myself to write, and whatever comes out it is the truth. So if you want to do that, I would recommend pausing the podcast now before we move on to setting our goals for 2022. And we're going to set them in a completely different way that you might not be used to doing. Or maybe you do this, but it'll be a good refresher if you do. Now, before we get into setting our goals for 2022, I want you to think about how you can set goals that you're in control of, goals that you stand the chance of actually achieving. Because when you achieve your goals, you feel more confident. And when you feel more confident, you're more likely to take more action. And that's what we want, because Unstoppable actors know that rejection is inevitable. Unstoppable actors know that you are going to face countless amounts of rejection. But unstoppable actors also pursue their acting career with full courage anyway, despite knowing all of that. And you've got to be courageous. So when you're setting goals, set goals for yourself that you're in control of, but that are also going to stretch you. You're not going to feel fully confident whenever you set a big goal because you might not have the skills or knowledge to know how to achieve it. And that's okay. But you take action anyway from the place of courage, because confidence comes from courage. Confidence comes from doing. So what I want you to do before we even get down on paper what our 2022 acting goals are, I want you to start forgetting about things that are outside of your control. For example, if your mum doesn't support your acting career, and she is just dead set against it, stop trying to convince her. Like, get out of the game of convincing. And your mum might be another relative, or it might be a friend, it could be someone else. Like, stop trying to convince them. They're never ever going to be won over. So just forget about that. That's completely out of your control, because how someone views your acting career is nothing to do with you. All that matters is how you feel about your acting career. Okay? So forget about that. Forget about things like getting cast in a soap. It is so out of your control. And I know you might go, yes, but Louise, I want to get cast in a soap. Well, that's cool. You can hold that vision, but there are other things that you can do that are in your control. So forget about, just getting so fixated on getting cast in a soap or getting cast in the next Hollywood blockbuster or winning an award, because these are things that are completely out of your control. You will drive yourself around the bloody bend if this is all you are thinking about. Now, don't worry, I'm going to start break down things that are in your control, but we're just setting you up for setting some goals that are going to be easier to achieve, but that do also stretch you, but that keep you taking action. Because things like trying to convince your mum or your grandma or your auntie or whoever that an acting career is the right career for you is draining. It is exhausting. And these are things that will stop you taking as much action. They will make you feel less motivated because you are spending more energy on trying to convince others of your career choice or of trying to get into that soap than of actually taking action on the right things that are easier to achieve, that will get you there quicker than going round and round in circles chasing your tail. So you do want to focus on the things that are in your control. For example, supporting yourself mentally as you pursue your acting career. That is something you're in control of. You can support yourself mentally. Applying for castings. You are completely in control of how many and how often you apply for. You are completely in control of the type of castings that you decide to apply for. And you are completely in control of saying no to applying for some things, because you don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to apply for acting jobs here, there, and everywhere. I know the acting industry is kind of set up from a place of fear in terms of like, oh my God, you've got to be applying for everything and anything as much as you can, otherwise you'll not get a look in. No, that's just silly. That's exhausting. So you can say no to applying for some casting briefs that you see and you go, no, do you know what, it doesn't feel right, or it's not right for me, or I'm not right for it. So no, let's move on to the next one. Other things that you're in control of are tightening up your craft, sharpening your performances, reaching out to people to make connections. So can you see, if you get so fixated on the example of getting cast in a TV soap, you're going to drive yourself around the bend, because how do you even get someone to cast you in a TV soap? You're not in control of that. You're not in control of someone else's choices. But what you are in control of is things like your training, your acting training, tightening your craft, sharpening your performances, getting better at acting. You are in control of that, and you can take action on that, and you can feel good about that. You're also in control of reaching out to people and making connections. You're not in control of their reactions. They might not want to speak back to you. They might not be interested in having a relationship with you. It doesn't matter. You can't control that, but you can control who you are trying to reach out to and reaching out to them. And you can control how you reach out to them as well. Does this make sense? So if you did want to get cast in a TV soap, it would be a really good idea to set yourself a goal for 2022 to get on the radar of whoever it is that is casting that soap. And again, as I've already said, you're not in control of their reaction. You're not in control of whether they say yes or no. They do want to bring you into audition, or they do want to set up a meeting with you, or they do want to start building a relationship with you, but you are in control of actually connecting with them in the first place. And again, you're also in control of things like improving your show reel, improving the quality of the credits on your CV, improving your casting profile, improving your headshots. These all go a long way into helping you get closer to that vision of getting cast in a soap. But you don't want to necessarily just focus on that as the sole aim. You want to focus on the things that you can do things about, okay? So we're not even going to get into setting your 2022 goals just yet, because there's some questions that I want you to journal on first. Remember, journaling is just getting into the art of free writing, not thinking, not overanalyzing, not trying to give a right answer, not trying to avoid a wrong answer, just writing without thought, writing from the heart, writing from your instincts. So the first question before we even get into any goal setting is, and we're thinking about acting, remember, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do in acting if you knew you couldn't fail? If you don't like journaling, that's fine. Just think about it. But think in terms of like allowing inspiration to come to you rather than getting into analysis paralysis and trying to search for the right answer, because you'll never get the right answer if you're overthinking everything. Overthinking completely cuts you off from your creativity, from your heart, from your instincts. So what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Either journal on it or have a think about it. Okay, and now we're going to jump to another exercise. All these exercises that we're going to do are setting you up for getting some really solid goals down for 2022. I want you to come up with the last 2 sentences of your life story as if you're dead. And I know that can sound a little bit scary because you go, what? I don't want to think about myself as dead. But actually, this is such a powerful exercise. I've done it myself. And I did it with my students on the 10-week method acting modules before we broke up for Christmas. And it was powerful in capitals. When I read out my last 2 sentences of my life story as if I was dead, it gave some of my students goosebumps. When they read out the last 2 sentences of their life story as if they were dead, it gave me goosebumps. And we were just massively, massively inspired. And we started to see our lives in completely different, or from completely different perspectives. And we were like, God, wow, like this has to mean something. This really has to mean something. And it really allows death to motivate you. It really motivates me. Maybe it doesn't motivate you, but I hope this exercise does. So you're going to write the last 2 sentences of your life story as if your life story has been written after you have passed away. But these are just the very final 2 sentences of that book of your life. So to help you, I'm going to read mine out. And you write it in past tense. Okay, so these are they're not the last 2 sentences, they're like maybe 3 or 4 sentences, but you want to keep it as succinct as you can. So here's mine. Louise told the story of a person who left her past behind, was present, kind to herself, and lived the most fulfilling and wholesome life, moment by moment, following her bliss. That bliss was the most beautiful and poignant acting work that touched the souls of her audiences so deep, they felt the power of it long, long after the performance had finished. And she also set the precedent for others to do the same. The world has become a very different place because of Louise O'Leary. So they're the final few sentences of my life story that I wrote as if I was already dead. I want you to do the same. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. I wake up each and every day and I read that out loud to myself, and that keeps me motivated and it keeps me inspired and it keeps me taking action, and it makes me feel like my life is worth something. It's purposeful. I've got a vision, I've got a mission in this life of mine now, this beautiful life that I've been given. So I'd like you to do the same. Come up with the final 2 or 3 or 4, but don't make it any more than 4 sentences of your life story as if you had already passed away. And then we are going to get into some goal setting for 2022. I really hope that last exercise has just got your cogs turning. It's made you think bigger than yourself, because I want you to know that doubt kills more dreams than failure ever would. I can't remember who said that quote, but I just remind myself of it all the time. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever would. If you can get up every single morning and make the last 2, 3, 4 sentences of your life story the first thing that you read before you even put your feet on the ground, before you even start scrolling on social media, before you start replying to emails, before you do any of that distracting stuff, you will live your days more intentionally, more purposefully, and you will feel good. You will feel like your life has meaning and it is worth something. So let's get into the goal setting then. We are not going to set goals for 2022 as in the full 12 months. We are only going to set goals for the first 6 months of 2022. I want you to forget July to December. Just forget them. Because when we start creating goals for the full year, it is so easy to fall off track. It is so easy to forget about them. It is so easy to lose momentum and motivation. You are only going to set yourself 1 to 2 big goals for the next 6 months. So from January 2022 to June 2022. And we're not setting any more than 1 or 2 big goals because we want to keep it simple and we do not want to overwhelm ourselves. Because when you overwhelm yourself, you are going to be less likely to take action because your brain will become very bloody confused. It'll not know left from right, up from down, or whatever. And then, you'll just simply, it'll find things that are distracting but are easier. So, social media today seems like a good thing to do. Let's go on there because that's easier emotionally to deal with. So we're forgetting July to December. So what are the 2 big things that you could focus on that will be your North Star for January 2022 to June 2022? Once you've got them either written down or clear in your head, although I do highly recommend writing them down because then that clears up space in your mind, I want you then to know that we are only going to see the next 6 months as an experiment. We're not getting fixated on these goals. And remember, these goals should be something that you are in control of. So I've just recently restarted my acting career. I have worked professionally previously. I've done lots of professional work and it was brilliant, but I had a break from acting pretty much because Standby took over and I was really enjoying coaching actors and aspiring actors. But now it feels right. It is the time for me to get started with my own acting career again. So obviously I'm going to be doing this alongside coaching my method acting students. And the one thing I need is I used to have an agent, but I don't have one anymore. I do need an agent, okay? But I am not going to set that as a goal for my first 6 months of experimenting of 2022 because that is out of my control. What I am going to set as my goal that I'm going to experiment with for the first 6 months of 2022 is writing to and applying to 50 agents because that is something that is in my control. It's something that I feel motivated about. It's something I feel inspired to do, and it is definitely something I can experiment with. I mean, there are numerous agents out there for actors, numerous, but I'm just narrowing it down to 50. 50 might sound like a lot to you, but in the grand scheme of things, is really not. So that's going to be the thing that I'm going to experiment with in the first 6 months of 2022. And the other thing is, although I've done professional stage work and professional film work, I haven't done any TV work. But I'm not going to set myself the goal of I must be on television by June 2022 because there are a lot of variables at play with that, and there are a lot of things that I'm out of control of with that. What I am going to do is I am going to set myself the goal of learning what it takes to get on TV. So I've got myself 2 goals there that I'm going to experiment with. I'm not fixated on them as in like they can't shift and there's no room for growth or flexibility. There's lots of room for growth and flexibility with them. So the first one is I am going to experiment with applying to 50 agents. And that's going to be my first experiment for the first 6 months of 2022. In all honesty, I could probably achieve that in the first 3 months of 2022 or even sooner. But it's not just as simple as writing to them. I want to learn how to market myself more effectively. I want to learn about their desires and what makes me more sellable as an actor, especially as an actor who's had a bloody long break from the acting industry. So there's a lot of things that are going to go into this. There's a lot of variables at play, and that's why I'm giving myself 6 months to experiment with it. And then the next one, as I've already said, is I'm going to learn what it takes to get a TV job as an actor. And again, there's a lot of variables at play with that. It all depends on my show reel. It depends on how I'm branding myself. It depends on how I'm positioning myself in the industry. It depends on my skills. It depends on many, many, many things. So that's why I've picked out those 2 things to explore and experiment with in the first 6 months of 2022. So I hope this is helping you think a little bit broader about your goals for the first 6 months of 2022. So don't overwhelm yourself, and remember, it's all an experiment. I want you to let go of the attachment of achieving it. Like, don't get so attached to it, because if we get so attached to it, we are going to set ourselves up for failure, because then we're only successful if we achieve that. And what about all the other steps that it takes to achieving these goals? Like, they're successful wins. Like, they're developing our confidence. We are being successful by taking action. Let go of the idea of only being successful if you only achieve these 2 things. As I've already said, think about all the other steps that precede these goals. When you are consistently taking action on them and you're doing them, you are being successful. Success isn't just as black and white as I achieve this goal or I don't. I'm successful or I'm not. It's not that. Like, start growing your mind about what success actually is. And actually, if you don't know what success is to you, it might be a good time right now to pause the podcast and, again, just free write, journal on what success actually feels like or could feel like to you, what it would be to you. And success doesn't mean, oh, well, it's just getting a TV job and getting paid 10 grand. Like, it doesn't mean that. Success could be, I am in the pursuit of my acting career every single day. Success feels like waking up every single day inspired to take action. Success feels like connecting with others who are also as ambitious as I am and as driven as I am, and making friends in the acting industry. Success also feels like going to the theatre or going to the cinema and watching a film and walking away inspired. Success feels like living life on my terms and not being restrained by other people's opinions and views of what I should be doing with my life. Success can be so many different things. So just let go of the idea that success is only achieving your goals. It's the pursuit of them as well. It's the journey. It's the things you learn along the way. It's the failures. It's the knockbacks. It's the rejection. That's all success. If you're getting rejected 1,000 times in a year, you are more successful than the person who is not even putting themselves out there once, who's not even applying for anything. So let's just reframe success. Okay, I went on a bit of a tangent there. That wasn't planned into the podcast, but I hope you found it useful. I hope you found my little passionate rant inspiring in some way and it's helped you. And the reason I've got so passionate about that is because, we want to be in this learning mindset. We only become successful in whatever success means to us individually by constantly seeking out learning. What's the lesson in this? What was the lesson in that? What can I learn from this? What can I apply from this lesson to the next time I do this thing? Learn from the things that don't work out and learn from the things that do work out. That's how you become an unstoppable actor, and do less of the things that didn't work out and do more of the things that did work out. So now you've got your 2 big things that you're going to experiment with and explore for the first 6 months of 2022. What mindset do you need to take consistent action within the first 6 months of 2022 with your experiment? And I just want you to see it as an experiment. I'm going to keep repeating this over and over and over again until it is literally drilled into you, because it is a bloody experiment. Okay? It is an experiment. And with all experiments, things go wrong. Was it Thomas Edison who invented the light bulb? I hope I'm getting this right. But I think he failed like so many times with it. But he never saw that as a failure. He saw it as, oh, that's another thing that doesn't work. So I'm one step closer to finding out how to invent the light bulb. So this is why we're seeing it as an experiment. because every time something doesn't work, we're one step closer to finding out what does work, okay? So is that the mindset that you need to take? Or is there a different kind of approach that you need to take with your mindset? Is there something that you need to do every single day to condition yourself for success? So like I've already told you, I read the last 3-4 sentences of my life story every single morning before my feet even touch the ground, before I've even got out of bed. That's conditioning me for success. My house is full to the brim of inspiring positive quotes because I don't want a negative mindset. I don't want that because I know that's not going to help me. And every time I pass one, I read it, or every time I'm feeling a bit down or a bit demotivated, I go and find one and I go and read them. I've got them in the toilet, I've got them at the bottom of the stairs, I've got them in my bedroom, in the living room, in the kitchen, everywhere. My house is just full of inspiring quotes, but ones that mean something to me. It's not just full of them for the sake of it. They're ones that have real meaning and value to me. So is that something that you need to do? I also write a gratitude journal every single morning. So every single morning I write in there 10 different things that I am grateful for. Now 10 might be too much for you. That's fine. Like you could write 3, you could write 5, you could write 7. You do whatever feels right for you. 10 is good for me because it gets me into a real good mindset. It uplifts me. It makes me start my day on a positive note. And as I've written them out, I then read back through them and I say how thankful I am for each thing that I'm grateful for, each of the 10 things. So what do you need to do mindset-wise to help you take consistent action with your 6-month experiment? What do you need to do? Is there something you can nick from me that I do? Or is there something completely different that you can do? I don't know. Like, this is your life. There's no right or wrong with this. You know, I don't have all the answers as to what is to right for you and your mindset. You have all the answers. They're already inside of you. You just need to trust yourself that they're in there and follow them. The next thing is, what skills do you need to learn to get a more positive outcome with your experiment? What skills do you need to learn? Do you need to learn something about the business of acting? Do you need to learn something about networking and making connections? Do you need to learn something about the craft of acting? Obviously, I'm a method acting coach. I am all about all of those things that I've just mentioned. But at Standby, we have a saying that is the craft first for long-term success. I honestly don't understand how anyone could call themselves a professional actor if they are not learning how to improve their acting skills and they're not getting guidance on it in whatever format that takes place. I just don't understand that. You know, you could never like want to be a pilot and go, oh, well, sod it, I'm just going to learn on the job. Like, I don't know the first thing about even getting the plane off the ground, but it's okay, I'm just going to jump in the cockpit. You know, like, that would never happen, ever. So I don't understand the mindset of actors, well, people who call themselves actors who are not training. So obviously I'm going to be all about that, as well as the other things I mentioned, you know, networking, business of acting, marketing yourself, sales, auditions, etc. But what is it that you specifically need to learn to get a more positive outcome with your 6-month experiment with the 2 things you've set yourself that you're going to aim to get closer towards? Have a little think about this. I'll be honest with you, like, I learn about the craft of acting pretty much all the time. I'm always either thinking about the craft of acting, or I'm reading books, or I'm getting coaching myself, which I still do, even as an acting coach, because how can I coach others and tell them to do that if I'm not getting coaching myself? It just doesn't make sense. And, you know, I'm like just filling my cup up with stuff about the craft of acting all the time. I'm practicing scenes. Whenever I rehearse scenes, I get people to give me feedback. I get them to give me constructive criticism on how I could improve. But these are not just anyone. It's not like my auntie or my uncle or my grandma, you know. These are people who are in the acting industry. So it's not just Fred from down the road, like, hey up Fred, I've just done this scene, do you want to watch it and give me a bit of constructive feedback? Because Fred's just going to be like, yeah, it's brilliant, God, weren't you good? I mean, he might not talk in that voice, or maybe he does, who knows. But yeah, these are people who are actually in the acting industry and know a thing or two about the craft of acting. So yeah, one of the things that I've started doing recently is, I know that auditions are my weak point, and I don't hide this. I'm not scared to tell people this. You know, when I was getting a lot of professional acting work, because I've worked, or had at that time worked so hard on my craft, I still have, what am I on about? Because I've worked so hard on my craft, people saw that and they gave me chances. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time a lot of the times, or then I'd worked with people and then they recommended me on to other projects. So I didn't get very good at auditions. I did audition, obviously, but not as much as I would have liked to. So now I know that auditions are a weak point for me. I'm currently getting coaching on auditions as well for myself to improve that. And obviously, it's really helping me put into auditions what I already know about the craft of acting and all the experience I've got from all the paid acting work I've done, and help me solidify a real good audition technique and feel more confident approaching auditions, because I'll be honest with you, they were the one thing that I didn't feel that confident with. So that's a skill that I've needed to learn, and that's what I'm doing. I continue to pay for that, to do that, to improve my auditions. So what do you need to do? Now, the next thing I want to ask you is, what action do you need to take? What action do you need to take with your experiment? And remember, some of the action steps that you're going to take will work out and some won't. Some will take you off course. Some will put you on the right track. It's okay. It's an experiment. It is completely an experiment. So what action do you need to take? When you've figured that out, I want you to either write down or think about the reason why you're pursuing this 6-month goal experiment. What is the reason behind it? Why are you even pursuing this? Why are you even experimenting and exploring with these two things? The reason I'm asking you to consider this is because if you don't know the reason why, you're less likely to take action because you've got nothing motivating you. It's like in a scene, we have to figure out the character's motivation, because when we figure out that, then we know how committed they are to their scene objective, their scene need. And it's the same for you. We need to figure out what the real reason is behind you even exploring these two big things in your 6-month experiment. Because when you know the reason behind it and you're fully committed to it, you are more likely to take action on it. So what is the reason why you're pursuing this 6-month goal experiment? I'll tell you mine. I'll be open and honest about it. I have had a long break from actively pursuing acting. I just felt this desire inside my body. They were my instincts, or I don't know, a spiritual feeling, whatever it was. I can't even put my finger on what it was because it seemed bigger than me. This feeling that I was, or these feelings that I was getting inside myself, were nudging me towards acting. They were saying, you've got to do it, Louise. And I do not want to get to the end of my life and for those last 2 sentences of my book to have been fraudulent and not have been the truth. So that's motivating me. I have to do this. I have to go to my deathbed, to my grave, wherever, content in the fact that I gave this everything that I could, because I bloody love acting. Acting runs through my veins. I simply can't work for other people. I'm a rebel. And so are you. You're a rebel because you're pursuing acting. You don't want to do a conventional 9-to-5 job. I just can't do that. I've done them in the past, like long before I set up Standby and between acting jobs, and I bloody hate them. I can't do it. That motivates me. I can't ever work for someone else. I mean, talking about productions, like a director, the producers, I can in that capacity. But I mean, just like your everyday 9-to-5 bog standard job, I can't do it because I would feel so bloody unfulfilled. There is this calling inside of me, and you'll know what I mean because you'll feel it yourself. Like there's this big, just this strong calling inside of me that's saying, like, you've got to do it. And I don't feel happy if I'm not pursuing acting. I feel like I'm leading a life of mediocrity, and that's not what I want to do. I know I was put on this earth to do more, and so were you. So what's your reason why? Also as well, because I've had such a big break from acting, I just bloody miss it. I miss it so much, and I want to know what my potential is. I want to know what my potential is. I don't even know what my potential is just yet. I want to know what that is. That's my motivation. That's my reason why. That's my reason why I'm exploring this experiment for the next 6 months. And it's going to be exciting, and it's a journey, and things are going to go wrong, and that's okay, and things are going to go right, and that's okay. And then unexpected things are going to happen, and that's okay as well, because remember, the magic lies in the unknown. So why are you pursuing these 2 big things over the next 6 months? And then the final thing I want you to consider is, how do you want to feel at the end of these 6 months? So when it comes to June 2022, the 30th of June 2022, how do you want to feel? Get this down, write it down. This has been a game changer for me. I've started doing this with absolutely everything. So when it comes to auditioning and doing an audition, before I even obviously I do all the character prep work, I do all my relaxation, and I prep in a very thorough way, the way I teach my students to do it, and, the way that helps me become one with the character. But then I just let go of that and I ask myself, how do I want to feel at the end of this audition? And usually it's something like, I want to feel inspired, I want to feel uplifted, I want to feel like I made a connection to the people auditioning me, I want to feel like I found something new, I want to feel like I was inspired in the middle of the piece and I took a risk, a creative risk that worked well with the given circumstances. I do it when I'm interviewing people that I'm really nervous about interviewing. So again, I will ask myself, how do I want to feel after the end of this interview? And it's usually something like, I want to feel like I had a real human to human connection with this person and we had fun and it was a laugh and it was also inspiring and uplifting and I learned something and it felt effortless and we felt at ease with one another. I do it with absolutely everything, and I've done it with my own 6-month experiment as well. Like, how do I want to feel at the end of these 6 months when I've actively been exploring these 2 goals? And yeah, it's so exciting to just even consider that. So how do you want to feel at the end of the 6 months? It makes it more fun and it takes the pressure off yourself. In my personal experience, anyway, it might do something different for you, but for me personally, it takes the pressure off myself. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm even more excited to explore this thing or these things. So how do you want to feel at the end of the 6 months? So that's the end of our podcast / workshop on how to set and achieve your acting goals in 2022. And you might be thinking, yeah, but Louise, we've only gone up to June. What do I do for the rest of the year? You just rinse and repeat this. You rinse and repeat this exact method. And obviously you review. So you start off by reviewing on the 30th of June, 2022, going back through this podcast and answering all the questions that I gave to you at the beginning. And then you set another experiment for the final 6 months of 2022, only giving yourself 2 big things to focus on and focusing on the things that you're in control of the most. So how was this? Did you enjoy it? Has it been useful? Has it got you thinking? Do you feel more focused for 2022? Do you feel more uplifted, motivated, inspired, passionate? Do you feel, I don't know, how do you feel? Let me know in the comments. I would absolutely love to hear. I'm just going to finish off by saying that unstoppable actors know failure is inevitable. They know they're going to come up against countless rejections, but they pursue their acting career with full courage anyway, because the magic lies in the unknown. I want to finish with that, as I've already said earlier in the podcast, because it's so important to remind ourselves. So if you have found this podcast useful, there's 3 things I would like you to do. Number 1, share the podcast. Share it on socials. The more people it reaches, the more inspired and uplifted we're all going to feel, and we can all help one another. Secondly, come and join our Unstoppable Actors group over on Facebook. It is one of the most uplifting, inspiring, positive, supporting acting communities out there. And if you enjoyed this podcast, there is more of this goodness in there. And then the third thing I'd love you to do is come and join the waitlist for Total Character Immersion. It is a brand new online method acting course that will blow the socks off of you. It teaches you how to effortlessly become the role in 5 super powerful method acting modules. So I'd love you to join the waitlist to find out when it's released, so you can be one of the first people to take this course and to really up-level your skills in 2022 to help you with these 2 big things you're going on an experiment with in the first 6 months of 2022. I've absolutely loved hanging out with you, as I always bloody do. Please do share the podcast episode and do come and join our Unstoppable Actors group and get on the waitlist for Total Character Immersion, because they're going to be amazing. Have an absolutely amazing 2022. I am rooting for you. I know you can do this. Just get out of your own way, stop overthinking, be courageous, and you have got 2022 in the bag no matter what happens. I have absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. Now, if you did, I'd really love you to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a review. And if you would like weekly injections of inspiration, you'd like mini method acting challenges to keep you making progress with your dreams, come and join the most supportive acting community online by clicking the link in the notes to help you become an unstoppable actor.